Today's topic of discussion, kaiju. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back, and today we're looking at one of my favorite subjects, kaiju. This is the Movie Monster Series Dream 5 2024 box edition from Bandai. And what does all that mean? Well, it's a box set of 5 different vinyl figures from Bandai's Movie Monster Series done in the 6-inch scale. And all 5 of these monsters come from the Godzilla Showa era. The Showa era, referring to the original series of 15 Godzilla films that ran from 1954 to 1975. The 5 figures in this set being the armadillo-like Angorus, the giant mantis Kamakaras, the mechanical monstrosity Mecha Godzilla, the lesser-known Gabra, and Godzilla's #1 arch-enemy, King Gdora. And you can see the beautiful full illustration they've put on the front of the box. And on the bottom, you can see the Movie Monster Series Dream 5 logo, again featuring all 5 of the included kaiju within that font. Let's open this up and I'll take a look at all 5 of these figures. First up, we have Angorus, sometimes called Angilus, who first appeared in 1955 in the film Godzilla Raids Again. And he was the very first giant monster opponent that Godzilla fought. And although he was killed in that film, he was brought back to life for 1968's Destroy All Monsters. With that appearance, Toho flipped a switch, and he went from Godzilla's enemy to his closest ally. I liken the relationship between Godzilla and Angorus to Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble. Angorus is Godzilla's best friend, although he is a little bit dim-witted. He's a scrappy fella that will take on opponents much bigger and stronger than him, like King Gdora, Gigan, and Mecha Godzilla. Of course, this often ends with Angorus getting his ass kicked. Angorus became a little more formidable in his 2004 appearance in Godzilla Final Wars. That's when they played into his armadillo-like appearance and gave him the ability to roll up into a spiky ball and launch himself at his enemies. Angorus was depicted by a stunt actor in a suit, and that's why he crawls on his hands and knees, because that's how the actor in the suit had to crawl around while playing the character. It does look strange, but it is screen accurate. This toy is based on the second Angorus suit that was created in 1968, which slightly redesigned him to give him a softer look, including those big puppy dog eyes. He does have some articulation in all the legs, and his tail can twist. He's got very little paint on the underside of his body. There's a little bit on his toenails, most of the paint being on his spiky backpack, and there's some nice painted detail in his face. Next up, we have Godzilla's most persistent enemy, King Gdora, who first appeared in Gdora, the Three-Headed Monster, in 1964. King Gdora is said to have the appearance of a classic Chinese dragon. Most often he is portrayed as all gold, and his origins are that he is a monster from outer space, usually employed by various alien races to invade Earth. The only paint on this Gdora is on his heads. He's got his red eyes, and just a little bit of wash around the hair around each of his heads. Gdora's main weapon are his lightning-like gravity beams, which he can shoot separately out of each of the 3 heads, and the 3 heads can combine their powers into one beam that's as strong as Godzilla's atomic breath. Previous versions of Gdora that I've owned have had articulation in the wings and each of the 3 necks, but not so with this version. These wings do not move. There is no joint in any of the necks, just in the legs. So this version of Gdora does look good, but not much for posability. I do appreciate though how the wings are swept back on the mold, so he's not taking up a lot of additional shelf space. Some of the previous Gdoras I've had, the wings have been spread out to the side, so they took up a lot of real estate. Not so much with this version. The gold color on him though is very nice and very striking. Kamakaras first appeared in the 1967 film Son of Godzilla. The name Kamakaras derived from the Japanese word for praying mantis, kamakiri, because as you can see, obviously, this is a monstrous mantis. There were actually 3 Kamakaras in that original film, all of whom were destroyed either by Godzilla or by the film's other antagonist, Kumonga, the giant spider. Because of the design of this monster, he was brought to life by a marionette operated by piano wire rather than a man in suit, as with most of Toho's other kaiju. The original 1960s Kamakaras did not have any special powers, but the monster was brought back in 2004's Godzilla Final Wars, where he was given a camouflage ability. But even with that, he was no match for Godzilla, and the King of the Monsters made short work of him. This figure has some really nice painted detail on the wings. Unfortunately, the wings do not open up, given the nature of it being a vinyl figure. There was a marionette in the original film that the wings could open and it could fly. He's got a little paint on his toes, and really nice paint apps on the antenna, and those big insect eyes. I believe they actually put light bulbs in the marionette's eyes in the original film so they'd light up. There is no articulation in the 4 legs. The 2 arms can turn, and so can the head. But that's about it. Here we have Gabra from the 1969 film All Monsters Attack, which was released in the US as Godzilla's Revenge. All Monsters Attack is usually the most disliked of the original film series among fans. It was the follow-up to Destroy All Monsters, one of the greatest of the original Godzilla series films, but it took a completely different path. The story of All Monsters Attack centers around a young boy named Ichiro. Ichiro is a latchkey kid who goes home after school every day to an empty apartment because his parents are working. And on the way home each day, he gets tormented by a gang of bullies. When Ichiro falls asleep, he dreams of traveling to Monster Island, home of Godzilla and the rest of the monsters. And he becomes friends with Godzilla's son, Minilla. On Monster Island, Minilla is tormented by a bully of his own, called Gabra. During the course of their adventures, Ichiro helps Minilla stand up to his bully, and back in the real world, after Ichiro gets kidnapped by a group of bank robbers, he uses the lessons he learned on Monster Island to outwit the thugs and eventually stand up to his own bullies. All Monsters Attack is very much a kid's film, with most of the footage on Monster Island being reused from other films, except for the sequences with Gabra. Due to the nature of the film mostly taking place in a young boy's dreams, it doesn't rank at the top of anyone's favorite Godzilla films list. And there's always a question of whether this monster, Gabra, exists in the quote-unquote real world in Godzilla mythology, or if he was completely dreamed up by Ichiro. Nevertheless, the main reason I purchased this box set was to get this Gabra figure. This was Gabra's only appearance in any Godzilla film in any era. But fans have noticed that the monster Salunga from the anime series Godzilla Singular Point does include similar design elements to Gabra. So as far as articulation for this figure, that's it. Arms go up and down, and you're done. He does have some pretty nice paint applications on the face and head, and in the spines that go down his neck, as well as on his neck and belly. Very unusual design. Looks more like a monster you'd see in a Ultraman show or in a Super Sentai series like Power Rangers. Lastly, we have the original Mecha Godzilla from the 1974 film Godzilla vs. Mecha Godzilla, also called Godzilla vs. the Bionic Monster. The original Mecha Godzilla was a robot created by space aliens to invade Earth, and he originally had a false layer of skin around him which made him look like Godzilla himself. Since that first appearance, Mecha Godzilla has returned in just about every era of Godzilla films, up to and including the American-made Monsterverse, but all the recent interpretations show Mecha Godzilla as being created by humanity, not being from outer space. A giant robot to defend the Earth against Godzilla. And being that he is a robot, his appearance has changed drastically from film to film. Mecha Godzilla is Godzilla's most persistent opponent, other than King Gdora. And he is considered to be one of Toho's big 5 monsters, the other 4 being Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, and Gdora. And like Gdora is solid gold, Mecha Godzilla is usually solid silver. He has a little paint detail, some gold rivets here and there, the MG Mecha Godzilla logo on his arms, and on his head and eyes. Lack of articulation seems to be a theme with this box set because, just like Gabra and Gdora, he only has 2 points of articulation. Arms go up and down, and that's it. We've been getting less and less articulation with these Bandai vinyl figures. I'm assuming that's some sort of cost-cutting measure. Bandai trying to cut costs just like every other toy company in the world. And here's everyone together for size comparison. So Gdora is the biggest, Angorus comes in number 2, and the other 3 are around the same size. This set was a Godzilla Store exclusive release in late 2024 to coincide with Godzilla's 70th anniversary. It did go on sale also on the Godzilla US store, where I pre-ordered it. And it took a few months for these to make their way across the Pacific, so I just got this recently, even though it was a 2024 release. Like I said, the main reason I got this set was for Gabra, but I also needed a Kamakaras in my collection. And while I had the 2004 version of Angorus, I did not have a 1960s version. So all 5 of these are pretty good. I'm happy to have all of them in my collection. I just wish for the cost of the set there was a little more articulation in some of these figures. That's it for my look at the Movie Monster Series Dream 5 2024 Box Edition. Who is your favorite out of these 5? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, thank you for your time and attention, and I'll see you in the next video.